Welcome, everyone. I am super excited to share with you today and in part two regarding the topic that I'm going to address with you. I've got my Snoopy mug, my Snoopy t shirt, and my Snoopy button. Love that dog. And I'll be incorporating him into our talk today. We're going to answer a question, and it is the most important question that you will ever answer in your entire life. The question is, who is Jesus Christ of Nazareth? And following that up, I'll explain, why does that matter? Why should you care? What does it mean to you? That'll be part two. But for now, I just read today an article that had a list of 21 historical figures that may not have existed. And interestingly, of course, you had like William Shakespeare, Moses, King Solomon, even though we found his temple, and you have Pythagorean, Homer, Muhammad, Mulan, King Arthur, Confucius, and then, of course, Jesus of Nazareth. Now, in order to answer the question of who is Jesus Christ of Nazareth, we have to answer another question before we go into our real question. And the question that we have to answer is, are you seeking the truth based on facts, or are you looking for what you want to hear, what you want to find? You know, if you seek, you'll find. And if you're seeking, if you're looking for unanswered questions, you will find them. Although unanswered questions are just a part of life, and it really shouldn't shake us in being able to make an intelligent decision. Unanswered questions, when it regards an eternal spirit being, creator, unseen creator of the universe called God, ought to be expected to be a part of the territory. So unanswered questions, for whatever reason, being used as excuses to not believe and not follow is kind of lame, to be honest, because we have unanswered questions in every aspect of life. So what is it that you're seeking? If you're looking for excuses not to believe, you will find those. Like a friend of mine said, if you're looking for an excuse, any excuse will do. So what is it you're looking for? The key issue is not, are there unanswered questions? Like I said, they go along with life in general, let alone in the territory of talking about the eternal God. The key issue is not, are there unanswered questions? The key issue is, are there enough answers to make a solid, reasonable, rational, educated, intelligent decision? I believe there are. There are some that don't. But I can tell you, as a person who did not grow up a Christian, as a person who did not grow up being a follower and believer in Jesus, becoming a Christian was not on my radar. It was not on my to-do list. My life ambition was taking me down a completely different path in the total opposite direction of being a follower of Jesus. So obviously I came to the place where I felt that there were enough answers, and I'm going to share those with you today. So today we address the question of who is Jesus Christ. Part two will be why that matters to us. So, who is Jesus Christ of Nazareth? Number one, Jesus Christ was a verifiable person of history. He was a real life historical figure who influenced and changed society forever and history itself. For example, our dating system, before some anti-religious people got involved, it was based on BC and AD. It was determined history was split in half by the birth and existence of this man known as Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Of course, Jesus influenced the arts, charities, education, equal rights, equality among the sexes as well as among the races, and there's so many other ways that we find this historical person known as Jesus Christ of Nazareth influencing history and society. Now, secondly, Jesus was a mass witnessed public figure. So not only do we say he existed, but this person, known as Jesus Christ of Nazareth, was somebody that was known by the public in mass numbers. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people knew of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, knew who he was, and knew of his teachings and his claims and his works. People from miles and hundreds of miles away heard about Jesus and came to seek him out. Interestingly, talking about the fact that he was a public figure witnessed by the masses, many of Jesus's most audacious claims and deeds were done publicly before the masses of hundreds and thousands of witnesses. So what Jesus did wasn't done in secret. It was seen by thousands of people. Which leads us to the third fact about who Jesus was. Jesus made public claims that he was the awaited Messiah of the Jews and God Almighty in the flesh. Jesus regularly referred to himself as the long-awaited Messiah, and he used titles like the Son of Man and God's Son and the Son of God and the Lord and so on. He cited messianic prophetic scriptures to apply them to himself. He did that publicly. Jesus also publicly used titles for himself that belonged to God Almighty alone, declaring himself to be equal with and one with God. Jesus also actually called himself God publicly, and not only in front of his friends, but in front of enemies. Now, when he claimed to be God, if you look through the reports of Jesus's life and ministry, you don't see him say the three-letter word God. You don't see him say, I am God. Instead, because see, that was a different word. He didn't use the Greek word theos, so you don't see Jesus saying, I am God. Instead, what Jesus did is he actually used the name of the one and only true God that revealed himself to the nation of Israel through Moses and revealed himself to Abraham. The God who claimed to be the creator of the universe, the God who claimed to be the one and only true God, and that there was no other God but him. So, for my Muslim friends, this is a very big deal, because there's a movement in Islam right now where people say, you show me where Jesus claimed to be God, and I will believe and follow him. Well, there it is. Jesus did claim to be God. He just didn't say, I am God. Instead, he used the name of God. So, the fourth answer to the question of who is Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Jesus declared publicly that his public miracles and healings were signs that proved his teachings and claims. Okay? So Jesus went around healing people and delivering them from demons, from all kinds of injuries and sicknesses and diseases and conditions. And Jesus said, these miracles and healings, these signs and wonders, they prove that I am who I say I am, and they prove the authority of what I'm teaching you. The fifth fact to who is Jesus Christ of Nazareth is that Jesus Christ died for his claims. So not only did he make these claims publicly and do these things publicly, but Jesus died for them to prove that he was who he said he was. The sixth fact to the person of Jesus Christ of Nazareth is that Jesus' life, his teachings, his claims, and miracles were witnessed by friends and enemies alike. See, it wasn't just people who liked Jesus who were giving support and testimony to the story of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. It was his enemies as well. And they took his name to the Roman authorities. They took his name to the political authorities. They were the ones who tried to defend against his teachings and claims and works. So, seventh fact of who is Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Jesus' life, teachings, claims, and miracles were reported in 4 written testimonies. These are known to Christians as the Gospels. The word Gospels means good news. These are known as the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which are the first 4 books in the New Testament of the Christian Bible. Now, these reports were recorded, and the 8th fact is that the accuracy and the contents of these reports were never disputed by the public who witnessed the events and were still alive at the time of the writing of the reports. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, those 4 reports, they were recorded, they were written down not long after the events had happened. So the majority of people that had witnessed them were still alive to see them, were still alive when these reports were written and started to be spread around society. And not one person refuted the accuracy of the events that were recorded in them or the contents at large. Now, a 9th detail, a final detail. One other important detail of Jesus' life and ministry relating to who is Jesus Christ of Nazareth is that Jesus foretold in advance and in detail of his betrayal, his prosecution, his torture and execution, and his resurrection from the dead on the 3rd day. He not only foretold these detailed events to his friends, but he said them publicly so that even his enemies expected Jesus, something to happen on the 3rd day after his death. And so they tried to take measures to make sure he stayed in the grave. Now, what do all these facts tell us? I'm going to wrap things up for today. They tell us that the awesome, incredible, unseeable, untouchable, holy God, the word holy means spirit, means otherworldly, right? Something that's not a part of this world, something beyond this world, something mysterious, something awesome. It means that this God who created the universe, seen and unseen, who made mankind, became a part of his creation and specifically became one of the members of the human race. He became a person. As C.S. Lewis describes it, the author became a character in the story. Why would he do that? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in part 2. But imagine for a moment, as much as I love Snoopy, what would it be like? How could this dog, which is a part of a story, how could he ever know about what I think about him? How could he ever get to know me? I'm not a part of the story. It's a completely different realm. But what if I had the power that I could become a part of his story? Food for thought. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you in part 2. And happy Easter.